Good day, good day. Thanks for joining me on Twin Flame 11 Talk. And please join me and tell me about your journey. Let's talk today about Twin's purpose for dealing with COVID. Now, I'm going to talk on my perspective. If you have anything that you've been experiencing as a twin and you're calling for that, please leave a comment below and also let me know where you're tuning in from. My experience with this here started when I started healing people, and I think I spoke before about how I found out about my healing. And I'm just going to today go over the different scenarios that I've experienced when being called to heal people with COVID. I think my first one was a friend of mine that was in the UK. And she was saying that her daughter had gotten really sick. So what I did was I just went into my meditation and I sent her the healing that we do when we're in meditation. And so like later on the next day, because she said that her daughter was really sick, she couldn't breathe, she was home, she didn't want to go to the hospital. And so she didn't really want to go get tested either. And so I went and spoke to her higher self, and her higher self was letting me know that, she doesn't dress accordingly to the UK weather. So I didn't know that because I don't see her, I'm here in Florida. So I actually went and I told her that, and she was like, you're right, because she does not dress accordingly. But she ended up having this COVID, and I did what I had to do to heal her, and the next day she was feeling better. So as time went on, I spoke before about another friend that was walking in the hospital, and she had just gotten the vaccine shot though, and I was able to hold her hands and take on that energy there, and that actually was more vital, it affected me more than it did healing the actual COVID patient. And the next day she was healed. And then we had my friend in London again. She calls me because her granddaughter is crying because her aunt, who has lupus in Bermuda, has contacted this COVID. So she was very upset she didn't know what to do because her granddaughter was really devastated. So I said, okay, I'll work on her. Now I wanted to, because I know the effects that I've been having when I heal people. It goes through me and out of me, right? And that part I am not crazy about, but I'll do it because I want to make sure that people are okay. It doesn't affect me where it leaves anything in me, or I'm got COVID or anything like that. So what we did was I said, okay, I'm still got time. She's in the ICU. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on her a little bit later. Give me a couple of hours so that I could go into meditation and stuff. I'm just getting to work at the hospital. I had something to eat. I wanted to make sure that I could eat less, because I know the after effects of when I do heal somebody, especially for the first time. If I do it a few times, the same person, I don't have that first effect. So what I did was I was walking in the hallway. And as I was walking in the hallway, I just stopped. And I was breathing. And I was like, oh my God, I think her higher self is come now to help me to heal this person. And I'm like, I wasn't prepared for this. So, because usually you go into meditation. So I just could not move. I couldn't move at all. And so I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the middle of the hospital, stopped, and I can't move. I couldn't move to the left or to the right, so I just had to go into like quiet mode, and I just couldn't breathe, and I was breathing, right? And I didn't know what was going on, and then I just started crying. And I'm like, oh my, I'm saying to myself, I could hear myself thinking this, like, why am I crying? Because there's no need for me to be crying. I'm all right. Nothing's wrong with me. So I just was breathing and trying and crying. And, now everybody that knows me knows I like to play around. And here I am in the middle of the hallway crying. Thank goodness nobody was coming. So that lasted for about 5 minutes. And if it was less than 5 minutes, it seemed like it was 5 minutes or more. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm going to say it felt like 10 minutes. For 10 minutes after that 5 minute stop crying, I was just breathing. And I was like, oh my God, I really do think that her higher self came and needed the energy like that. So I'm like, I was blown away because that's the first time that happened to me. So what I did was, afterwards, when everything calmed down, and I said, I'm still going to go and do the meditation with her and stuff. So I called my friend. I said, is this lady okay? So she's like, yeah, as far as she knows, she's still in ICU and stuff. So I said, well, I told her that just what happened, like, just threw me off like this. So she was like, wow. So I said, well, I'm going to keep an eye on her. So for the rest of the night, I was just throwing up. And I couldn't stop. So I was like, I knew that when that happens, the person is being healed. So I was like, oh my gosh. So what I did was, by the time I got home, England is 5 hours ahead. So I called and I was like, what's the status on this young lady? Oh, she's still in ICU. Okay. So that whole day, the next day after my incident, she was still in ICU. But the next day, she was up. They didn't have to put her in a room. They just let her go home. So she was cured. She was weak. And so her higher self had wanted me, didn't tell me what it was that they wanted to say to her, but the higher self was like, they needed to reach her. So I tried, and she didn't know that I did this for her, but, the higher self, was them. And so she was like, no, she doesn't really feel like talking. And I was kind of hurt because I knew that her higher self had something to tell her. So she was just like, no, I just don't feel like talking. So, I was like, okay, cool. I'm not going to force anybody to try to get them even on a higher frequency so that their lupus wouldn't attack them. So I left that alone. And I just continued. And I've had other people that I've healed. I know this one guy. I had friends in Bermuda that were stating that they have friends that are not feeling well. So one lady I called, I was able to visually see her, and I worked on her, and she was okay. It took her about a day also to get better, and she got better. I haven't even checked on her lately, but I usually like checking up on them later on. And so I checked up on her, and she was okay. And it was a guy also that she asked me to check on, and I worked on him, and he was okay. So, and usually it takes about a day, I'll say it takes about a day for helping the ones with COVID. If I could get it early, then it knocks it out it gets it out real good. And so they don't have to suffer so much. So, and then other than that, I had a friend that was at work, and she ended up in the IC in emergency. So I went down there, but it was so many people. The doctor kept coming back and forth, so I couldn't really do what I wanted to do with her. And then it was time for me to go, and then she was home for a week. She's so I hadn't really been able to, because I would have liked to have done more for her, but I was able to do just her spiritually that way, healing, the energy healing that way. So it's been a lot of, I enjoy doing it. It makes me feel great to know that people are recovering from the COVID through the energy works. It also lets me know that I have nothing to fear with this. I don't know. I personally don't even understand why people are afraid of it. I even from the beginning, it didn't faze me, and I enjoy seeing people recover. That always gives me joy. And I can't forget my soul brother. My goodness, how could I forget my soul brother? He had gotten this shot, and he I didn't even know he got the shot, but he got it on, I guess, on a weekend, and by the Monday he was really bad. The Tuesday he said he was bad also. The Wednesday he dragged himself into work. You could see he looked terrible. He's going to read this because I want him to. He listened to this because I want him to. And he was a righteous mess. And immediately, I just held his hands. And I told him I had to go because I knew that I was already feeling what he was feeling. So by the end of the night, he was okay. So it's great. And what happens to my twin when I do these things? Let's talk about that. It's so funny because when I get sick, where I throw up for the people, he also gets like that too. Poor baby. But and I did let him know that there's one of his things that he's gonna have to be putting up with. Hey, you know what I mean? And it's good to know that he is always in that 5D when we do the healing together. And it's awesome. I also did a healing throughout the hospital. They didn't know about it. And what I did was to be honest with you, I'm going to just let you all know, I bought in every single, in 5D, I bought in the archangels, I bought in the creator, and asked all light workers, all true twins, and to join hands and do the healing all throughout the United States and Bermuda. I started there, and then I went on to different places. And I could tell you, for the hospital where I worked in, we had, I think they were saying in the beginning, we had maybe 200 COVID cases. And in 2 weeks, we went down to 12. We have 12 now. So that says a lot. So when we do it together as light workers and twin flames, we are very powerful at getting rid of this COVID. So if I could do it without you guys knowing who I am, and it's working, could you imagine what would happen when we do know that we could do it together? So I want to tell you, peace, everybody, and thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to all that we had to share today about the COVID. And if this has reflected on anything you may have experienced, please leave a comment below and let me know where you are tuning in from. And don't forget to hit the like button and forward to others who can benefit with their journey. And please, friends, please hit the subscribe button.